Right, so let me tell you a little story before we begin. When I was 19, I did this audition for Berklee, right? For the College of Music in Boston. I remember doing this audition in Valencia, here in Spain. And yes, what happened was that I practiced a lot. I was, playing some Dream Theater songs, John Petrucci's song on his first solo album. And I was like playing all the time, but I had no idea whatsoever of any, theoretical aspects of music. I couldn't read. And yeah, I just didn't know the names of the stuff. I didn't know any scales. I didn't know the names of the modes. I didn't know the triads or seventh chords. So I was just playing by ear. I would just try to play whatever it is that I could find on the albums that I listened to and the music that I listened to. And then, yeah, of course, I looked at tabs here and there back then. But then this thing happened in my audition where, when I was being questioned, let's say, this guy just sits down at the piano and he says, okay, can you tell me if this is a major chord or a minor chord? And then he plays and I'm like, I think that's a major chord. He was like, well, actually, no. None of these are major or minor chords. I was tricking you. And I'm like, what? He was playing an augmented chord. And I was like, what? I didn't even know that existed. Then he played a diminished chord. And I was like, speechless, right? I don't understand any of this. So yeah, of course, I did my audition. Like, they asked me if I could read. They asked me to read a piece of music. I couldn't. They asked me about these chords. I didn't know they even existed. So then they asked me, like, so what are you here to do? Like, if you didn't practice anything or if you don't know anything, what are you doing here, right? So yeah, I was super nervous, especially after they asked me all of this. But then what I did was play the songs that I had prepared. So since I couldn't do anything else, they just let me play, right? They were like, oh, let this kid just have fun and then leave. I did play the John Petrucci song. I did play a Dream Theater song. And then they were like, well, if you don't know any of these chords, how are you playing this? So I was trying to explain to them that it was my ear. I was just listening to the song a million times, and then I would try and figure out how to actually do that. And then this guy just steps out of the piano and says, all right, let's try that ear of yours. And he picks up a saxophone, right? And I go like, oh, I'm screwed. So then he plays this little pentatonic phrase, which was very simple. I will, of course, not remember what he did exactly on the saxophone. But I mean, I was just trying to repeat and emulate whatever it is that he was doing. He started very simple. And then he started like building up on that till I could no longer follow, right? Not on the spot, not with the amount of tension and nerves that I was experiencing. But anyway, the thing is, he was like, that's a pretty good ear you got. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I've worked on it for a long, long time. And it's only going to get better because I'm not planning to stop, right? So then they just told me, like, it's better if I could read and learn harmony, actually, and not just play around trying to find my way through blindly and try to study first. Of course, I went home thinking, okay, that was a no. I was unprepared. That nothing could have prepared me for that kind of shame, let's say. And then I went home, feeling, I made a fool of myself, whatever. However, 2 months later, I received a letter in my house saying, you've been approved. Come and join us in Berklee. But then I couldn't, right? Because it was mindlessly expensive. It was impossible for me or my family to just make that happen. However, my point with this is that you can still become a great musician, even if you don't read music right off the bat. And if you develop your ear, then I'm pretty sure you can do what I did and just figure out whatever you come across. Obviously, learning music, like reading music, is super important. I'm not saying you should only focus on your ear. Don't do the same mistakes that I did. I couldn't read anything. So when I was, in that test, in that freaking audition, I just, did a terrible job. I figured I could just talk about this so you know a little bit more about me and my adventures as a musician.